Hello everyone. This week we'll talk about the used oil generator requirements. As you're probably noticing by this point, we're not going to be using a PowerPoint this time. We're going to be browsing over this handy guidance document that was provided by the Department of Toxic Substances Control. This document is going to be made available in Canvas to you for your convenience, so you can follow as we talk about this. So these are the use oil generator requirements, at least an excerpt. You can find the complete regulations as listed here in the California Health and Safety Code, section 25250, or in the California Code of Regulations, Title 22, section 66279.1. You need to check both to get a complete breakdown regarding the used oil regulations. So first, let's talk about the formal definition. What is considered used oil? And the Health and Safety Code, section 25250.1, defines used oil as any oil that has been refined from crude oil or any synthetic oil that has been used and, as a result of use or as a consequence of extended storage or spillage, has been contaminated with physical or chemical impurities, usually heavy metals or some other additional substances. Then the document provides some examples of different used oil waste streams, such as, for instance, vehicle crankcase oils, engine lubricating oils, transmission fluids, gear oils, turbine oils, bearing oils, hydraulic oils, and so on. Some waste synthetic oils that can be managed that can be consolidated as used oil include oil derived from coal, oil shale or polymers, water-soluble petroleum-based oils, vegetable or animal oil, etc. Used oil does not include, though, antifreeze, brake fluid, fuels, other automotive waste, solvents. Those are not considered used oil. Some physical or chemical characteristics of substances which are not regulated as used oils include any oils that have a flash point below 100 Fahrenheit, oils that are mixed with any hazardous waste that automatically disqualifies them, any wastewater that contains any amount of used oil, cooking oils, grease, and so on, or oils containing 5 parts per million PCBs, that is polychlorinated biphenyls, or greater, and oils containing more than 1,000 particles per million total halogens. Now, under the Health and Safety Code, used oil management requires that used oil be managed as a hazardous waste in California unless it has been recycled. And in order to prove so, the recycled oil needs to meet the specifications that are listed in section 25250.1v in order to qualify for the recycling exclusion. Now, when it comes, there's two big differences when it comes to the used oil generator requirements for households, that is for civilians, or when it comes to actual companies or businesses. When it comes to a household, householders need to manage their used oil appropriately. So when doing, for instance, a car oil change, the oil needs to be collected in such a way that it doesn't at any point get in contact with soil, with the water, with the storm drains. That oil that has been collected needs to be transported to a used oil collection center or to a used oil recycling facility. Household owners do not require an EPA number to do this, and they do not require a hazardous waste manifest. There's also no need to, there's no specific requirement as to whether there's no restriction regarding your ability to transport used oil if you're a household owner. Is only limited once we start talking about a business. Now, for businesses, this is different. Businesses that generate used oil need to comply with all the hazardous waste generator requirements that are listed in the California Code of Regulations, Title 22. They need to specifically go into Section 66 262.10, which has a list of all the hazardous waste generator requirements. A business will also require an EPA ID number at the federal or state level, depending on several different thresholds. The container requirements for the used oil are listed in the California Code of Regulations Title 22, Section 66 to 60.10. In brief, the containers have to be, of course, in good condition. There has to be no severe rusting, no apparent structural defects or deterioration, and definitely no leaking. The containers must have tight-fitting lids that are kept closed except when used oil is being added or removed, and if a funnel is used in the bunghole of the container, it has to be removed when the container is not being added to. Regular inspection and routine maintenance of all containers is required, and faulty containers must be repaired or replaced. The container itself must be labeled with the name and the address of the generator and the words used oil and hazardous waste. And it has to have the initial date of accumulation, that is, the date in which the first amount of used oil was added into the container. Transportation of used oil is specified in Title 22, Section 66 to 62.31, and it requires that the generator must provide hazardous waste label to the containers in order for it to be transported. Some characteristics that the label needs to have include the generator's name and address. The label has to be visible. It needs to have the words hazardous waste in it. You need to specify that we're talking about used oil, and it needs to have its proper DOT shipping name, which in this instance is waste used oil, but we would also include the United Nations number. You need to also specify the date of accumulation. Not required, but it's a good practice at your EPA ID number and so on. Now, interestingly, any generator of used oil is allowed to self-transport in a vehicle that's owned by the business, of course, up to 55 gallons of used oil. For this specific operation, no hazardous waste manifest would be required, nor would you need to be registered as a hazardous waste transporter. If you need to transport more than 55 gallons of used oil, though, that's when you would need to hire someone that's a registered hazardous waste transporter, and you would definitely need a hazardous waste manifest. Once the manifest is generated, a copy of it needs to be sent to the Department of Transportation on Substances Control. This needs to be done within 30 days of the shipment. So make sure to send that copy in time to the DTSC. Details regarding the address are provided down here in the document. Okay, if you have any more questions, go into the discussion forum and submit your question. And myself or some classmate will get to it in less than 48 hours. Thank you.